My name is Triona White-Hamilton, and I'm Curator of Modern History and World Cultures at National Museums Northern Ireland. And as part of Bridges to China project, I've been the lead partner from National Museums Northern Ireland side. Well, as a collaborative and a partnership project, we've all been able to input into every aspect of the project. For example, writing the funding application, planning for the workshops and delivery of the engagement program, and also feeding into how the program should be evaluated. So I suppose in terms of National Museums, Northern Ireland's role, we've been able to provide the resource of the collections to make the Chinese collections more accessible, and also some of the spaces we've been able to provide in which some of the activities and the workshops have been able to take part in as well. Well, the project really started from various different conversations that we were involved with with the partners. So we've been having discussions with Avila Media, with Queen's University and the Chinese Welfare Association, but separately. And what I had kind of noticed is that there was a common theme that all of the partners had wanted to deal with within the work that they were doing. And I felt like there was a really good opportunity then to bring all of those partners together. So when Queen's University approached us about a kind of collaborative project, then I'd already in my head a number of different partners that we could work with. It seemed just logical to me that the Chinese community wanted to work with us. They're one of the largest and most developed communities in Northern Ireland of our ethnic minority communities, and also the largest collection within our Asian collection in world cultures is the Chinese collection, and it's very, very poorly researched and understood. So, this project was a fantastic opportunity to make those relationships and also learn more about the collections that we hold. Well, it's been a really joyous project to work on, and I think the relationships and those friendships that's been made with the partners have been for me the highlight, and I think that that's going to serve us well in the future because all the partners brought with them different expertise. Queens with their expertise in research, Avila Media with their digital production and community engagement, and the Chinese Welfare Association have so much knowledge and information about the Chinese community in Northern Ireland. I think, it just made the whole project more sustainable and also more innovative, I think, as well. I think, we've all come together in a united front to build what I think is like a really good inclusive heritage practice and something that I'm really proud to be part of. Oh, we had a great group of participants, and I feel really privileged to have met them and to be part of their lives now. Over a number of months, we developed really good relationships with the participants who, really gave us an insight into their lives and their wishes and how they'd like to see the museum, sharing their personal stories, lots of kind of celebratory moments of celebrating Chinese culture, of course, and the family and the heritage traditions, but also some sadder stories as well in terms of the difficulties of migrating and maybe some of the regrets of losing and missing family back home in China. So we've had our ups and our downs in our conversations, but we're really privileged that they've, allowed us into their lives and felt, that this is a trusted space to share those stories. So it's, really given us so much insight into how the collections here at National Museums can bring out some of those really remarkable personal and social stories as well. We've just learned so much about the collection that we hold. I'm very, very grateful for the community for sharing those insights. Well, given that we knew nothing about the Chinese collection at all, we were at a very, very low base. So really kind of we felt very enriched by the stories that were shared with us. I think one thing for me is that I've never come across a community that are so involved to this living day with the kind of ancient traditions and cultures that their community has brought. And that's been a real eye opener for me, how knowledgeable they are and respectful of the traditions over a very, very long time. And actually, in a personal level, has made me even more interested in looking up my own heritage and cultural beginnings as well. So it's been a very enriching experience. The participants chose, I think, about 14 items that they wanted to further research in the collection. And I think, one of the lessons that I've learned is that never to assume, what people are going to want to talk about or want to see. The selection process was really interesting in how the group came together to decide which objects they wanted to look at further. So, um, yeah, some really, really interesting links and personal stories. You know, there was a lot of different perspectives on some of the objects as well, and from different generations, and people who lived in different parts of China would have had different experiences and different memories, I think, of some of the objects, from education, from the home, and from kind of more spiritual aspects as well. So it just shows you that an object doesn't have one meaning. It has so many diverse and different meanings to so many different people as well. So it was really interesting just to explore that kind of multiple perspectives that really the engagement with real life objects can bring about. Traditionally, museum curation really did focus on a one narrative where the curator was the expert in telling this sort of single story about the collection. But I think the museum has been sort of developing and learning over the years from some of its work in Troubles and Beyond, for example, and also in its Inclusive Global Histories work, where we do a lot of work in terms of ensuring that multiple perspectives and reflections and community stories can shine through as well. So it really is giving a multiple kind of layering of history and our identity, rather than trying to all agree on the one story and the one memory, which really isn't true at all. I think it's hugely important to help a community that maybe more traditionally didn't feel included in places like museums to have their voice and their perspective around stories that really are theirs. I am the curator of world cultures, but I can't have the expertise in all cultures around the world, especially cultures in which I don't have any experience of at all. So it's vital that the museum has these kind of partnerships where it listens to people who have the lived experience, and which in this case we did with the Chinese community in Northern Ireland. But what was really another benefit of the project was also having the partnership with Queen's University. And so their academic rigour and researchers who are kind of specialists in that subject were able to input into the stories as well. And that really kind of added a lot of depth, I think, and richness to the stories that we now. I think working with underrepresented communities, you need to make sure that you're able to provide the time, the patience, and also the empathy to ensure that their stories are told. If they haven't been represented before, they may feel, that they're not included, and building up that, I suppose, respect and dignity to allow them to have their voice and really feel that, they're being listened to is important. And this project has kind of helped, I think, start some of the process along with that. So, we feel really privileged that at the museum now we've built some of these relationships. We've had the time to get to know some of the individual participants and understand this is a hugely creative and skillful group. And I'm already buzzing with ideas of how we can work together in the future, because I think there's so many ways that the museum can really benefit from the expertise in this Chinese community. Well, I think there's going to be loads of impacts from the project. For me, the most important is the relationship building and the friendships that have been made. In the short term, I can already see, we've been invited to each other partners' events in the next few weeks for Chinese New Year, for example. And I hope that we can always stay strong allies and supportive of each other in the work that we're doing. We this kind of practice around ensuring that heritage is inclusive. We need to be one voice all together. And I think this partnership is going to help to drive us forward and to be sort of a united front in that type of program. I think that the project has given us a good understanding of how to do this work in the future. It's given us a lot more confidence in this area. We're already doing a lot of work in our Inclusive Global Histories program, which is around decolonisation, inclusion, and diversity. And a big part of our strategy for National Museums Northern Ireland is the priority of identities. So what we really want to do at the museum is champion diverse and ever evolving identities and be a space where everybody feels welcome and included. And I think we've learned a lot from this project in how to help to kind of accommodate that. There's lots of um, things that I would like to pass on to other people around ensuring that that they do have respect and are transparent with the community that they're working with, that, equity and respect is at the centre of everything that we do. In a collaborative project, it is time consuming, and a lot of the community want to do activities outside of the working hours. So you do need to kind of have that commitment to do that. Um, and also, it can be challenging when you're working with ethnic minority communities. There's been lots of really celebratory stories in the project, but also some difficult ones as well. Not just in terms of the historic legacies of Britain and China and to do with the trade wars and the opium wars and how that impacted Chinese community, but also I think in terms of migration and inclusion and belonging in Northern Ireland today, and some of the kind of difficulties or regrets that some of the community might have and around that too. So it's been an eye opener to understand the kind of emotional stories that people come with, and really important that you're supportive and empathetic really to those stories as well, and really appreciative that they're able to share their stories with the museum. So I think the museum really needs to kind of respect that and cherish the stories that they've been privileged to be told.